Why many women grow resentful toward their husbands as they age. Have you ever wondered why so many women, after decades of marriage, begin to feel disconnected, frustrated, or even resentful toward the very person they once loved deeply? It's more common than you think, and it doesn't happen overnight. This emotional shift often unfolds gradually over time, through years of small slights, emotional neglect, and unmet needs that were never addressed. At first glance, the relationship may still appear intact, but underneath the surface lies a quiet storm, the result of years of invisible labor, emotional exhaustion, and a sense of being taken for granted. Let's take a deeper look into why this happens and why so many women feel trapped by resentment in their later years. 1. Years of emotional labor without appreciation. One of the most common reasons women become resentful in long-term marriages is the weight of emotional labor. Years of managing not only the physical aspects of home and family, but also the emotional glue that holds everything together. This labor includes remembering birthdays, managing family schedules, planning holidays, handling social obligations, mediating emotional conflicts, supporting children and spouses emotionally. And yet, for many women, all this effort is invisible. Their husbands assume everything is just fine, not realizing how much energy it takes to keep a family functioning smoothly. Take Carol, a 72-year-old retired teacher. For years, she raised 3 children, worked full-time, and ensured every holiday, birthday, and family gathering was picture perfect. Looking back, she realized she had never received true appreciation. Not even a simple thank you. Her husband had assumed that because he worked and paid bills, he had done his part. But a marriage isn't just about financial contribution, it's about partnership. When one partner carries the emotional weight without recognition, it creates a slow-burning resentment that doesn't go away on its own. 2. Feeling like a roommate instead of a wife. Over time, many women begin to feel like their marriage has lost its intimacy, not just physical, but emotional as well. What once felt like a loving connection now feels like cohabiting with a roommate. This happens slowly. At first, it's a few missed conversations, then fewer date nights. Eventually the spark fades and the relationship becomes more functional than romantic. Linda, a 69-year-old retired nurse, remembers when she and her husband used to laugh, take long walks, and talk about everything. Now they barely speak beyond what's necessary. They live in the same house but exist in separate worlds. The most painful part? He doesn't even notice. This kind of emotional disconnect makes a woman feel unseen, and when repeated efforts to reconnect are ignored or dismissed, she eventually gives up. That's when resentment takes root. 3. Unresolved conflicts that accumulate over the years. Every marriage has arguments and misunderstandings. But when those conflicts are never truly resolved, they pile up like emotional baggage. Patricia, a 74-year-old retired accountant, had been married over 40 years. Though her marriage looked fine on the outside, she remembered every hurt, every time her feelings were dismissed, every broken promise. Her husband's response was always, "Why bring that up now?" Eventually, Patricia stopped expecting things to change. She stopped arguing, she stopped sharing, and slowly she stopped seeing her husband as someone she could turn to. Unresolved conflicts don't fade with time, they deepen, they fester, and when left unspoken, they erode the foundation of love that once existed. 4. A shift in priorities that leaves her feeling unfulfilled. As women age, their desires and dreams often evolve. The role of caregiver, homemaker, and supporter may no longer feel fulfilling. They begin to seek new passions, personal growth, and experiences that reflect their current stage in life. Helen, a 68-year-old retired librarian, found herself craving new adventures in retirement, travel, hobbies, meaningful conversations, but her husband was content sitting in front of the TV, refusing to step out of routine. When a woman begins to outgrow the marriage emotionally, but her partner remains stagnant, it creates a painful disconnect. She begins to see her husband not as a partner, but as a barrier to the life she now wants, and that's when resentment replaces affection. When the affection fades, but the marriage stays intact. Mary, 70, says the hardest part of her marriage isn't what's said, it's what's not said. No more compliments, no hand-holding. He used to say, I was beautiful even in my pajamas. Now I could be wearing a sack or a gown and he wouldn't notice. She's not alone. Thousands of women over 60 feel this emotional gap. Their husbands stopped expressing affection years ago, assuming that decades of marriage are enough proof of love. But words still matter. Touch still matters. Affection still matters. Without it, a woman doesn't just feel unloved, she feels invisible. Emotional intimacy, the light that goes out quietly. It's not just physical distance that causes pain. Often, the deepest grief comes from losing the emotional connection, the kind of late-night talks you used to share, the interest in each other's lives, the feeling that your thoughts and emotions matter. Now, when you try to talk, he nods vaguely or changes the subject, or worse, he doesn't respond at all. You begin to wonder, does he even know who I am anymore? Would he notice if I stopped trying? Am I just part of the furniture now? That kind of emotional abandonment doesn't happen in a dramatic moment. It fades slowly, over years. And many women endure it silently, unsure whether to speak up or shut down. Why many men withdraw with age and why it hurts so much. Let's be fair, many older men didn't grow up learning how to express emotion. For them, love is shown through doing, not necessarily saying. They fix things, pay bills, mow the lawn, and they think, that's enough. But for a woman, especially in her later years, emotional connection is no longer optional, it's essential. Your children are grown, you may be retired, the noise of a busy household is gone, and what you're left with is just the two of you. That silence, it's louder than it used to be. And if your husband isn't showing up emotionally, the loneliness can feel unbearable, even with someone sitting just a few feet away. When you stop sharing because it feels pointless. Carol, 68, once tried to tell her husband about a book that deeply moved her. He glanced up, muttered, "That's nice," and turned back to the TV. She didn't try again. That's how many women begin to shrink in their own homes, not physically, but emotionally. They stop sharing, stop initiating, stop hoping for deep connection. They go inward. But that silence doesn't mean peace. It means pain. Pain that says, you don't see me. You don't care enough to ask. I miss who we used to be. And behind that pain often lives quiet resentment, the unspoken grief of emotional neglect. There's no funeral for lost affection, no ceremony for the death of shared laughter, no announcement when emotional closeness disappears. But for many women, that loss is just as real and just as heartbreaking as any other. It feels like mourning something only you remember, something he doesn't even realize is gone. You might still cook his meals, do his laundry, sit beside him at dinner, but inside your heart feels 1,000 miles away. What happens when appreciation disappears? Another painful truth? Many longtime husbands stop showing appreciation for their wives, not out of cruelty, but out of complacency. He used to thank you for dinner, now he just eats. He used to notice your efforts, now he assumes them. Years of feeling unappreciated can erode a woman's spirit, especially when she's given her whole life, her youth, her energy, her loyalty, to a man who no longer says thank you. And yet you keep doing everything, hoping someday he'll notice. What women secretly think but rarely say out loud. If I stopped trying, would he even care? When was the last time he looked at me like I mattered? Why do I feel more alone now than when I was single? I've given so much, and I feel empty. These thoughts are not selfish, they are human. Every woman deserves to feel seen, valued, and cherished, no matter how many years She's been married. What can be done? Some women try to talk to their husbands gently at first. Others wait for the right moment that never comes. Some turn to journaling, friends, or even counseling. Others bury their feelings, telling themselves, this is just what aging looks like. This is normal. But here's the truth. Loneliness in marriage is not normal. Feeling unloved is not inevitable. Being ignored is not okay. You deserve more than just sharing a house. You deserve companionship, affection. First, name what you feel without shame. If you're reading this and feel tears prickling behind your eyes or a lump in your throat, let it happen. That's not weakness. That's recognition. Too many women go decades without saying the words they need most. I'm lonely. I'm tired. I miss being seen. Say them to a journal, to a friend, to a counselor, to God, because the act of naming your pain is the first step in taking your power back. You are not needy. You are not dramatic. You are human. Second, stop waiting for him to fix it. This one's hard. Many women spend years hoping he'll change, that one day he'll wake up, see how much he's taken you for granted, and suddenly become the attentive, kind, affectionate partner you deserve. And maybe he will, maybe a deep conversation or a season of reflection will open his heart, but maybe he won't. That's why your healing can't be dependent on his behavior. Your happiness can't be held hostage by someone else's emotional limitations. You do not need his permission to begin your own emotional recovery. Third, reconnect with the parts of you that got left behind. So many women lose themselves in marriage, not out of weakness, but out of love. They give and give and give until one day they don't recognize the woman in the mirror. Now is the time to find her again. Ask yourself, what did I love before I was someone's wife? What have I been curious about for years but never pursued? When was the last time I did something just for me? It could be taking up painting again, joining a walking group, starting a book club or blog, volunteering in your community, traveling somewhere new, or simply reclaiming quiet time for reflection and journaling. These things may seem small, but they are acts of rebirth. Real story, Deanna, 73. Deanna had been married for 45 years. Her husband stopped talking to her beyond basic conversation. He wasn't abusive, but he was emotionally unavailable. She felt invisible. At first, she stayed quiet. Then she started walking every morning, alone. Then she joined a group at the library. Then she began taking art classes. She found herself again. Her husband didn't change. But Diana did, and that changed everything. I stopped waiting for him to notice me, she said, and started noticing myself. Fourth, set emotional boundaries even in marriage. It's okay to say, this topic hurts me. I won't discuss it unless we both agree to speak kindly. I need space when you speak to me like that. I'm not okay pretending everything is fine. You're not being cruel, you're being clear. And clarity is an act of self-respect. Boundaries are not walls, they're guardrails that protect your emotional well-being. Fifth, consider speaking honestly without blame when the time feels right. It's okay to tell your husband what you've been feeling, but do it for you, not to provoke guilt. Speak from the heart. I feel alone in this marriage. I miss when we used to talk. I want us to reconnect, but I can't do it alone. I'm willing to try if you are too. Be prepared. He may be defensive. He may say, you're overreacting or nothing's wrong. But what matters is that you spoke. You honored your truth. Sometimes opening the door allows light in. Other times it shows you the room is still dark. Either way, you've taken a step toward freedom. Sixth, if needed, give yourself permission to let go. Emotionally, not all marriages need to end. But some need to transform, and in some cases, letting go of the fantasy of who you hoped he would become is the most healing thing you can do. Letting go doesn't always mean divorce. Sometimes it means no longer taking his coldness personally, no longer waiting for his affection, no longer tying your self-worth to his attention. Letting go means saying, I still choose to be kind, but I also choose to be free. Healing looks different for everyone. Maybe you stay married, but start living more independently. Maybe you seek therapy, individually or together. Maybe you take a break. Maybe you quietly build a life full of color, purpose, and connection outside your marriage. There is no one right way. There is only your way. Final words, you are not alone. And you are still beautiful. To every woman reading this who feels unseen, unheard, or unloved, you matter. You have given so much, and you deserve to receive love too. Whether your husband ever changes is uncertain, but this much is true. You still have time. You still have worth, and you are still deeply, deeply valuable. Now is your time to rediscover joy, not someday. Now.